Hello and welcome to the Spanish Football Podcast YouTube channel. I'm Alex Kirkland, this is Sid Lowe.
It's miserable and raining in there. Oh no, not in there, out there.
We're back in the Podmobile. Our friend James is in the back seat. Hello James.
Hello.
We're going to run through, which match day is this, Sid?
It's 18, isn't it?
It is match day 18. There you've been paying attention. How about that? Which starts off on Friday night with Eibar against Grenada, both of whom were in cup action in midweek. Eibar with a 5-0 win, I think, and Grenada with a 3-2 victory over Hospitalet. So just a couple of days turnaround from cup back to league action.
And both potentially in trouble. I know we talked about Eibar being a side that was strong enough that we didn't think they'd be dragged into the relegation zone. But they've been, in terms of results at least, poor enough recently that I think they can be. And actually even Grenada. You know, Grenada were top after, what was it, week 7, I think it was, or week 8. They were top. They've now only won one of the last 6 games. No, one of the last 7 games, in fact. And you do look at it now and start to think, well, okay, if you start now trying to decide which teams could be dragged into a relegation battle, they're one of them. I still think they've got enough points on the board. The very fact that when they went top, I think it was 20 points, and at that point you say, right, you know, even this team can't win the league, which we know.
Sorry, I wasn't really listening. You think that Grenada could get?
I don't think it's impossible that
down.
I don't think it's impossible that they get drawn into the fight. I think they've got enough to stay out of it. I think that 20-point cushion they effectively started the season with is absolutely huge for them. But I do think that if they don't win this game and they go into the Christmas break, there will be a little bit of nervousness. That's not the same as saying that they will go down, but I think they will now have been kind of, if you like, reacquainted with reality. And the reality is, as they kept on saying, even when they were top, to be fair to them, this season is about survival.
On Saturday, we've got Mallorca against Sevilla. Sevilla, who lost last weekend, didn't they? Beaten by Villarreal, of course. Villarreal. And Mallorca are certainly one of those clubs that are down
Definitely.
there.
And Mallorca know that. I mean, you know, when we were with Maita, he was telling us this, that, you know, we know that there's a reality here. We know that although we started well, because, of course, we spoke to him immediately after they'd beaten Real Madrid. And sorry about ruining things for you by talking to you.
The TSFP curse.
Yeah, we've done it again. They know that they have limitations. It'll be very interesting to see what they do in the winter window. I suppose that might be partly conditioned by this. You look at their goals, and actually I've lost count of the stats we were talking about last week, but this weekend they scored, well, the weekend just gone, they scored twice. One of them was a penalty again, which I think makes it 8 of the last 11 goals they've scored have been penalties. They're not creating enough.
4 o'clock, we've got Barca against Alaves. How do Barca come out of the Clásico, do you think?
I think they come out of the Clásico worried. I think obviously, you know, they weren't beaten, and so in that sense it's not too bad. They're still top of the table, they're albeit only on goal difference, because of course the head-to-head record between the two teams remains the same. But I think they come out of it worried. I think they come out of it worried because of how difficult they found it to come out from the back. Worried because of how many chances they conceded to Real Madrid. Although I think it probably is worth pointing out that relatively few of Madrid's chances were really
a lot of them were kind of shots from outside the box.
There's a lot of 25 yard shots, but they didn't have a huge amount of fluidity. They did actually create 1 or 2 chances themselves. They won't, I don't think, be worried about Alaves as such. And I also think they won't anticipate Alaves doing to them what Real Madrid did to them, which is to press very high and prevent them from coming away. I think Alaves are more likely to do the opposite and play with a very low block, to park the Alaves team bus and to wait for Barcelona. So I don't think they'll be concerned in terms of this game, but I think the broader concerns will definitely be there.
After that on Saturday, it's Villarreal against Getafe. I mentioned that Villarreal won last week. Also a lovely goal for Santi in the cup in midweek.
Yeah, very nice.
Did you see that?
Very nice.
Very good.
That's all we need to know. Santa scored in the cup.
There you go.
Happy Christmas, Santa Claus.
9 o'clock on Saturday, it's Valladolid against Valencia. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, maybe this is a test now of whether what we've seen from Valencia in the last 5 or 6 games is real or not. Because, and I know that's going to sound very stupid, but look what they've done. The last 5 games, correct me if I'm wrong, it's 2 derbies. It's Chelsea, it's Ajax, and it's Real Madrid, and they lost none of them.
You're right.
And they responded really, really well in all of those games. They were a team, and we've talked about this a lot, that sometimes it feels like they need to be kick-started. Something needs to happen in the game for
things
them to
need to go wrong for them to turn it
really
around.
kind of go at teams. But they come out of those games having not lost any of them. I think they probably come out of the Real Madrid game feeling that they should have won it, because of course they get defeated because of a goal from a header from a goalkeeper in the 95th minute. Now that's not to say that Madrid weren't very good, because they were in the first half. And I wonder if now a kind of, if you like, a normal game, for want of a better phrase, or a game against a team that you should beat, maybe tests whether this response is real from Valencia, because right now Valencia look good, and I think it might be time we started saying nice things about Albert Filades.
You said defeated, by the way. It was a draw, of course.
But they felt defeated. When I say they were defeated,
I know you. That's
I mean
what
kind of figuratively. Yeah, they were broke.
Sunday at midday kicks off with Leganes against Espanyol.
This is massive.
That is. I mean, again, there's a case to be made to say it's maybe the game of the weekend.
There's no doubt that in terms of importance, buttons. There's no doubt this is a game of the weekend. These two teams are in trouble. Leganes have responded brilliantly, by the way, and Javier Aguirre was talking about this last weekend. Obviously, I was there at Alaves when they drew, and they were very close because Alaves got a late equaliser, very close to a victory, which would have been huge for them. I think it would have put them 1 point from safety. They're still obviously a distance from safety because they didn't get those extra 2 points. But they look at their response. They've played very well against Barcelona, very well against Sevilla. They got the victory that they needed against Celta. They get a draw away at Alaves, and at Mendizorroza, that's not an easy place to go and get a draw. This is big because, of course, and we say this endlessly, but relegation is about relativity as well. It's not just about are you good enough to stay up. It's are there three teams worse than you?
This is Sid Lode's theory of relativity.
Yeah, my theory of relegation relativity.
Forget Einstein.
You need to find, obviously, three teams who are worse than you, or three teams that you can catch. And one of the ways you can catch them is to defeat them yourself. And that's why this is huge. To use the old cliche, it's a relegation 6-pointer. Yeah. Although in Spain it's more than that, because it could well be decided by head-to-head goal
It's
difference.
more than
so
a 6-pointer,
guys. 6.5-pointer.
2 o'clock, it's a Basque-ish.
It's a Basque derby.
Basque-ish derby, Osasuna against Real Sociedad.
Yeah, I think most Osasuna. Let's not go. Let's just not do this.
Should be a good game.
It should be very fun. Slightly different styles, but both of them will try and press pretty high. Both of them, I think, will be quite aggressive with the ball. And yeah, actually, this will be a lot of fun to watch.
Also a fun game, I think, at 4 o'clock on Sunday, which is Betis against Atleti.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, this will be fun.
And this is Betis are collecting cuddly toys for this game again. I think I saw they
throw
posted
them on the pitch
on Twitter. So bring your cuddly toys down to the Benito Villamarín.
Do you think they'll suspend the game for throwing missiles on the pitch?
I mean, look, is that a political gesture? Collecting cuddly toys for sick children is politics, and we keep politics out of football. 6:30 on Sunday. It's Levante against Celta. Again, Celta very much in need of points.
Desperately needing points, and they made big changes to the team last weekend. It feels like Oscar is still finding his feet, and it also feels like he's looking at key players or people who he thought would be key players and thinking, actually, you know what? I don't necessarily trust you. Last weekend, Rafinha played almost as a forward.
And that was he scored his first goal, didn't he, I think?
Yes, I think he did. And you look at it and you think, they're still trying to find their feet. And it makes you wonder whether they too might change things over the winter window. Not that they've got a lot of money to do it with.
The last game, another candidate for game of the weekend, it's Real Madrid against Athletic
It's
at
a classic,
the Bernabeu.
Two of only three teams who've
It's not a Classico, but it's very much a classic.
It's very much a classic game. Although it is true, and I must admit, I don't have the stats to hand, so these may well be wrong. So correct me if I am wrong, Al, because you always know these things. I think it's a decade since Athletic Bilbao have won at the Bernabeu with a Pablo Orfaiz goal. In fact, it's more than that. I think that's 2004. I was there.
It sounds about right.
Something like that. I might be wrong, but it's something like that.
Okay, so that is Matchday 18. Hope you enjoy it. Phil and Sid will be talking all about it on Monday in the Spanish Football Podcast. Where can you listen to the Spanish Football Podcast, Sid?
Well, you can listen to it in your ears normally.
Yeah, that's that. But before it gets to your ears,
the transmission vehicle that puts
the medium
it in your
through
ears,
which it arrives in your
You
ears.
can listen to it on SoundCloud, Acast, any other podcast apps. Tell me some other places, Al.
I mean, iCast doesn't exist. Acast, Spotify,
Acast is the one.
Apple Podcasts.
I mean, it's just a letter. What's the difference?
All the rest. Merry Christmas. We'll be back with you here on YouTube very soon.